So, the first thing I'd like to share with you is communication. I am communicating with you, and every day you've got to communicate with someone else. Fair enough? My belief system tells me that anytime two humans meet, one is selling the other. How many have kids in the room? Okay? Just communicating with your children. Just getting them to brush their teeth, to have a bath, have a shower, get dressed in the morning. I mean, you got to be very persuasive. Okay? Communicating with boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives. I mean, there's a lot of selling going on here. Okay? Anytime two humans meet, somebody's selling someone. We're all in sales. Now, let's talk about how you know who's winning. Step one. Words are only 7% of communication. So if you watch me today, and obviously I'm speaking English, I know I speak quickly, I know I sound funny, but the words are only 7% of what you're going to derive from my communicating with you. And words are only 7% of what your customers are going to hear from you. 38% is going to be your voice tonality. And what I mean by that is, am I speaking slowly, loudly, quietly? Am I using big words? Am I using small words? So my voice tonality is really, really important. Okay? And 55%, does anyone want to guess, out of 100% of communication, I've already made it easy. Body language. So notice today that I won't sit down. Notice if we want to make some calls, I will never sit down when I make a phone call. And not because I like standing, it's because I want to use all of the ability I can. Can you tell if somebody's, on the phone, can you tell if somebody's sad? Can you tell if they're happy, if they're smiling? Can you feel it? 100%. When someone is standing up, they're in a much different posture, not different positioning than if they're sitting down. So John is probably in much, much better shape than I am. He's probably stronger. He's probably got more lean tissue, more lean muscle. But because I'm standing above him, I've got an advantage. Do you see that? So if I was sitting down, even if I was stronger than someone, if they're standing, they have an advantage. When you're in sales, do you want the advantage? Do you want the advantage or not? Okay? When you're negotiating with your kids or your spouse, do you want the advantage or not? If you want the advantage, stand up. Now, the good news is 90% of phone calls, you don't get through to anybody. You're going to get through to a voice message. So you're not standing all day, okay? So don't get scared, even though they do say that sitting is not healthy for us and standing is much healthier. But I would say to you, anytime you can communicate with somebody standing, you are far more effective. Anyone believe that? Okay? Do you think your phone calls would be more persuasive if you were to stand than sitting down? Do you honestly believe that? Yes. Okay. Good. And if you don't, we're here to talk about, where's the brainstorming session? So I'm just throwing out ideas, and you could say that does not work in Australia. In Australia, you must be lying down making a phone call. So the key here is the following. 38% is your voice tonality. Don't forget the 38%. Now, why do I hate email so much? We have sent over 1 billion emails. So there's not too many people that are going to get in front of you and have sent more emails than me. So I'm not saying email is bad, but I do feel it's the lowest form of human communication. Because email are words. You took out the 38% voice tonality. You took out the body language. So now you're left with, you've lost 93% of your edge. Most emails are misinterpreted. More relationships have gone sour. More marriages have been destroyed. More work relationships have been destroyed over email than anything else. Guys, this is a really bad idea, okay? Email is great for confirming things. Great, I'll see you Tuesday. I'm going to send you a meeting invite. It's great to send documents, okay? But it's really, really bad at building relationships, okay? Really, really bad. So there is no more powerful tool than the telephone, because I can communicate my 7%, my 38%, and even a lot of my body language over the phone. I know it sounds crazy, but again, they can feel your energy and your passion, and if you're happy or if you're sad. But you only get that if you're standing up. The phone is incredibly powerful. And now with video Skype, and we'll talk about video emails, which I don't feel that way. I think they're really powerful. But most of you, I would suggest if I studied you for 8 hours, 12 hours, you're spending most of your day in email. Anyone want to admit to that? Okay. Now he's a pretty bright man, and he brought his agent. So even though we found him ourselves, of course he brought his agent. The funny part is the agent's name is James Bond. Real story. So James Bond comes in, the Bentley comes in, the bodyguards, the whole thing. He's a 36-year-old hedge fund manager, runs a $5 billion fund out of Switzerland, but was going through a nasty divorce. And I thought, oh, this is perfect. And it was just a nasty divorce, just hating his wife. And it was nothing to do with the most expensive price per foot in the history of Canada, had nothing to do with logic or reason. It was because he had something to prove. And that's how we did this deal. So my point is, you need to know who your market is, in their mindset. Who is that buyer? And what are they wrestling with internally that's going to motivate them? I was thinking yesterday, we were talking about, Evan, about that video. It's about 3 minutes or something. And you thought, well, some people are going to get fidgety or whatever. I was thinking about the iPhone. The iPhone, how many of you use an iPhone here? Wow. Steve Jobs did a good job in Australia. The iPhone is the most successful product in history. No other product has sold more from a dollar value than in anything in the history of the world. Every time they release the new iPhone, it moves the GDP of America. So the number one economy changes overnight when they release the iPhone. And they do it with a 6-minute video. So my feeling is if people are going to watch a 6-minute video to buy a cell phone, they can sit through 3 minutes watching a property, right, video. So I think sometimes we create these crazy ideas in our head, and we shouldn't. You guys have the best marketing tools I've seen in my entire life. I wish I had marketing tools like you guys have. I wish I had 3D renderings. I wish I had brochures as good as you have. Holy smokes, I've never seen better sales offices. So you guys have more than anyone else I've ever seen. I mean, wow. I would love to have the kind of tools that you guys have. You guys are you're so far ahead from a design, architecture. I've never seen architecture like this. So you guys are so lucky to have these stunning projects with these beautiful materials and beautiful things. Use it. Don't take it for granted. I mean, it's like works of art what you guys have there. So what we're going to focus not on beauty on terms of the graphics. We're talking more about the sales process. But my suggestion here is leverage what you have, and if you're talking to the right person, they're going to respond very well to it. But you've got to understand what's in their mindset. When I talk about timeshare, is that a term that people understand? Is that a timeshare? Is that a familiar term here? So timeshare is when you have a resort property. Maybe if you go on a vacation place, they feel free to sell you timeshare. And basically, instead of you buying the entire apartment in this resort, they sell you 1/52nd ownership. So it's like you get 1 week a year. So you pay $20,000, and every year you get 1 week at that resort. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But it's a difficult sale. I mean, it's really hard. But if you watch and timeshare keeps growing every year. It's an interesting sales process. Have you ever been through a timeshare presentation? Yes. Okay, have you ever been through one? They're the best salespeople there are. There is no better training, there is no better system than timeshare sales. Because here's what they have to do. They have to take a couple that literally is before they go to their timeshare presentation, because they're set meetings, they're coaching each other. Honey, you promise we're not going to buy. No, I promise we're not going to buy. Like they're swearing to each other. You promise on our children's life you're not going to buy this. No, I'm not going to buy it. Like they're coaching each other not to buy. Because they know about their friend or someone else that bought a timeshare and it's worth a fraction. It's worth pennies in the dollar. So they already know this going in. They go to the presentation and it's about 90 minutes. And usually they get a reward, like they're staying there for free or they're getting some reward. So that they're kind of lured into this. So they're going into the sales process knowing they're not going to buy. They've already committed they're not going to buy. 1 in 4 people that goes to a timeshare presentation buy something. 1 in 4. Okay? How do they do that? They do rigorous training on timeshare. And the most important part is the first 20 minutes. It's called discovery. In that discovery, it's when they get to know about you. So it's all about who your friends and family, and they don't even use LinkedIn. They're not even using Google. But they're really good at just getting you to talk, to open up, and talk about things that are fun for you. And they spend 20 minutes getting to know you. And they actually take notes. So what they're doing in the discovery process, they're figuring out what is it that's going to motivate this person? Is it friends, is it family, is it grandkids, is it pet? What is it? What's exciting for them? And they call that discovery process. Then they go into their formal presentations, about 90 minutes, but then they start relating back to everything you told them in the beginning. It's a very, very powerful sales process. Now, it doesn't work that well from a follow perspective because you either buy then or you don't. And they create all these incentives. If you buy today, here's the incentive. If you leave and you don't buy, you're never going to get these incentives. So it's all about buy now. But for those people that said today that I want to learn how to close now, Matthew, were you saying who's? Okay, we need to find a timeshare presentation that Evan can go through. And but they're very smart how they qualify you. They're going to say, are you married, or no, I have a live-in girlfriend, because you're going to have to come with somebody else. They won't let you come by yourself. They're very smart in how they do it because they want the decision makers there. I would suggest to you, your goal should not be closing a sale on the first attempt. And the reason is, it's like, I equate this to relationships, and yes, you can have a one-night stand, but that's not a consistent, sustainable business model. It's not a sustainable model that every night you're going to go and have a one-night stand. It's just not. Okay? The odds are not in your favor. This is a fact. What is sustainable model is a first date, a coffee date. A second date is a lunch date. A third date is a dinner date. A fourth date is out dancing. And maybe the fifth date is a weekend away. Is that a sustainable model?
Yes.
Okay? Now sometimes you can skip from here to here. You might be able to jump on these things. But if you want a consistent, when Tiger gets up, he doesn't shoot for a hole-in-one every single time. It happens. But his goal is not, I got to get a hole-in-one every hole. Correct? He's trying to get here. He's trying to get there. So I think that if you can pull it off, great. If the buyers, and look, we've all run across those buyers that are just ready to buy. But it doesn't happen that often. But I think what's more consistent is how do we choreograph that perfect first date? In the first date, if I was, who's single in the room? Any single people? Okay. So if you're going on a date, if I was going on a date, would I talk about a prenuptial agreement on the first date? How would that go? It wouldn't go over too well in Australia, right? No. So when you walk into a sales presentation, the first thing you hand me is your price sheet and all of your floor plans. To me, I feel like that's like a bit presumptuous. I feel like you haven't won me yet. You haven't got me over, like, I even want to live here. So I think sometimes we almost rush some of these steps. And if they're really going through the sales process and they're nodding and smiling and they're asking the right questions, it's probably great to show those things. But you have to make sure they've gone through those steps. Okay, so just equate this to real life. Think about friendships. Okay, you typically don't meet a friend and immediately let's go travel to Europe for a month. That's not normally how it works. Relationships take time. There's a few steps. Now you can speed them up. When you fall in love, it's all quick, quick, quick. When your customer fell in love with you on Sunday, you went Sunday date, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, boom. We had 48 hours. He got the deal done. But you even said to me that if you had pushed them a little too hard, they wouldn't have closed them on you. You needed a couple dates. Is that fair? So does that make sense? It's more natural.